had to write, or we just had to identify what the slope and what the y-intercept was, right? Okay, so this was on our paper last week. Our slope and our constant rate of change and rise over run, they're all the same thing, yes? Okay, our y-intercept was our starting point. It's where it started point on a graph. Now, in this equation, what is my slope? 5. So this is my slope. What was my y-intercept?
Negative 5.
It's
8.
Oh, 8. My bad.
All right. So instead of it giving us the equation and having us identify what is what, it wants us to be able to write that equation on our own. So right here it says write an equation of a line in slope-intercept form. Anytime you see that, that means y equals mx plus b. Now, it gives me my slope, it gives me my y-intercept. How could I write this equation? Obviously, it's going to start with y equals, right?
Y equals then 3x. Wouldn't it be minus 5?
It is minus 5.
5?
Yes. That's good. Yes, if it is a negative, you just put minus 5 because a plus a negative is just unnecessary, correct? And if it was a star test, you would not see plus negative 5. You would just see minus 5 because minus and subtracting are what? The same. All right, what about my next one? How would I write that in slope-intercept form? Somebody that hasn't answered. What do we think? Slope goes with my x. So what is my slope?
1/2.
Okay, so 1/2 what?
1/2 x.
Okay,
Plus
7.
good.
Do we have to solve them?
Nope, does it say to solve? What does it say? Write an equation.
It's pretty easy today.
Okay, don't say that yet. It always starts easy. All right, so what would my equation be for this one? What is my slope? Negative 3/4. What? X. Okay, so if my y-intercept is 0, do I need to put plus 0? So, because if I add 0 to something, does it change at all?
No.
No. So that is my equation.
Did it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dang.
Okay, so the next two give me a table, and it says write an equation in slope-intercept form for each table. Now, before, you've been given a table and said identify the slope or the constant rate of change. How did we do that? Okay, so remember it was the change in y over the change in x. Remember that triangle stands for change. All right, so the change in y over the change in x. So what is happening to my x every time? It's adding 3 every single time. Y'all agree?
Y adding 2.
Okay, adding 2. Okay, so what was my change in y?
2.
2. What was my change in x?
3.
3. Okay, so if I know the constant rate of change, can I start by setting up my equation?
Yes.
What would my equation start with?
Y equals
3x plus 2.
No.
Backwards.
If this is my constant rate of change, which is the same thing as my slope, what would this go with?
Y equals 2x.
No, this is
2/3.
2/3. 2/3 x. Okay, my y-intercept, if it is my starting point and I don't have a y-intercept, do y'all remember what I said about that?
None.
No,
Put none.
no. On the graph, what would it go through? 0. Okay, it would go through the origin. Remember, if it goes through the origin, it is also proportional, right?
Yeah.
What is the point for the origin? What is the coordinates for the origin?
0.
0 what?
0.
0, 0. Okay. Now, to find my y-intercept with these tables, I look for the points with 0. So this one is at 0 and 5. So does it go through the origin? Does it go through 0, 0? No. Okay. So I know that it has to have a y-intercept. Well, x is 0. What is my y? 5. So it's plus 5. If it was 0, 0, I wouldn't have had a second number. Okay, I wouldn't have had that y-intercept. All right, so this next one, I have to find my slope first. So what do I do from here to here? Plus 2, plus 2, plus 2. What is happening here? Is it adding 6? Subtracting 6. All right, so my y goes first, so negative 6 over 2. Can that be reduced? Yes. To what? Okay. What is 6 divided by 2? So it's just negative 3. So I would start with y equals what? Negative 3x. Good. Okay. Now, did I have a 0 or a 0 in this first one?
No.
What about here? Okay, I have my 0. So my x is at 0, but what is my y at? 6. So it's just plus 6.
Are we gonna have to solve any of these?
Mm-mm. Just writing an equation. And with
Wait.
slope,
Where did you get your plus 6 from?
This drought in the future, like in like 8th grade, when we learn slope, will we have to solve them? Or not?
most of the time, no. You might have to find slope, but not really solve. You don't solve slope. All right. Plus 6, Connor, is because right here, I look for 0, 0, or where my x is at 0, what is my y? Okay, so it's just 6. If it would have been a negative 6, I would have put minus 6. Okay, so these, to me, these are the easiest, but a lot of kids last class period made it a little bit harder. Okay. Now, what is an interception in football?
When
interception
When,
is where
when the person on defense
Okay, they catch the ball.
defense picks off.
Okay, so we're going to, this is how I made it memorable for 8th grade. When we thought about y-intercepts, we thought about where does the y-axis intercept the line. Okay, they're making, it's intercepting the line. So right here, this is my y-axis, right? Where does this line, where does it intercept it at? What point is this right here? So you would start at the origin and you count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, okay. So the y-axis is intercepting this line at the 5. So it's plus 5. I know that I can put y equals, it's going to be something plus 5. Now I have to find my slope. There are 2 different ways to find your slope. To me, it's easier to count because all I have to know is where am I ending up on this line. Okay? Now, there is such thing as a negative slope or a positive slope. All right, so I told y'all last week when I'm reading and I'm looking at a line, I always start from left to right because we read left to right, correct? So if I'm going here and I start here, is the slope going down or is it going up?
Down.
Down. So what do you think? Do you think it's a negative or positive then? Negative. Okay, so it's going to be a negative slope. So remember, rise over run is my slope, yes? Rise can go up or down. Run can go left or right. So if it's negative and it's going down, I'm going to go down. I'm trying to figure out how much rise and run do I have until I hit my line. So if I go down 1, 2, and over 1, did I land on the line? So I went down 2 over 1. I landed on the line, right? Let's do that again. If I go down 2, 1, 2, and I go over 1, did I land on the line? Yes. Down 2 over 1, did I land on the line? So is that a consistent rate of change? Yeah. So negative 2 over 1 is the same thing as what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. So my slope is negative 2x plus 5.
Yeah, that was fun.
All right. Is this a positive or negative slope?
Negative.
positive. Why is it positive?
Because it's above 3.
If I start here, is the line is it going up or is it going down? It goes up, so that means it's positive. Where is my y-axis intercepting the line?
Your y-axis is intercepting the line on 3.
3, so it's going to be plus 3. I went up 1, 2, 3. It intercepted it at the 3. Okay, so now I'm trying to find my slope. So I'm trying to figure out how am I getting to all the exact points on my line. So if I start here, we know it's going up, but I can work backwards to figure out my slope. How many times do I have to go down and over to hit my line? Okay, look right here. If I went down 1 and I went over,
Actually,
how many?
2.
2. I went down 1 over 2. So let's do that again. If I went down 1 and over 2, did I hit my line? Yes. If I went down 1 and over 2, did I hit my line again? Okay, so if I started from here and I go up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2 every time, did it work?
Yes.
Yes. So my slope would be 1/2 x plus 3. Now, some of you, if you wanted to go from that point to that point, is that what you were doing, Hartley? Going from here to here? Okay, so that would still work. Let me show you how. I would go down 1, 2, right? And go over how many? 4. Is 2/4 the same thing as 1/2?
Yeah.
Yes. It could just be simplified. Okay. All right. Where does my y intercept? Where is it intercepting the line? What point? At the 1. Right there. Just 1. So it'd be y equals something x plus 1. Now, is my slope positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative. It's going down. So I'm going to give you a minute. I want you to try to find the slope on your own. Bless you.
Is that plus 1 or minus 1?
Plus 1 because it's at the plus 1. If it was down here, it would be minus 1. If it was on the negative part of the y-axis. Anybody find it? Anybody want to give it a shot? Diego? 1? Okay, how did you get 1? Okay, he said down 1 over 1. Did that work every single time?
Mm-hmm.
Down 1 over 1. So it is 1, but there's something that we need to add to the 1. A negative 1 since it was going down. Down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. But yes, it is just 1. Good job. Now, there's one other way to solve this. If doing the line is hard for you, you can take the 2 points it gives you, negative 1 and 2, and then 2 and 1. Okay, finding your rate of change. Well, you could do that too for this part, yes. Not for this part. Okay, so it went, let's see, that's plus 2, and this is, no, it's not. 2, negative 1. Okay, so plus 2 and minus 2. Well, 2 over negative 2 is still what? Negative 1. So you can use the 2 points it gives you and find your rate of change that way to get your slope, or you can just do the rise and run. Okay, I have a lot of people that just wanted to do this instead of the rise over run, and that's fine. Okay, questions? We good? We sure? Yes? No? Okay. Flip it over. Okay, so this one, my y-intercept is known as what? Mm-hmm. You were going to say it, Hartley. No. Just starts. My y-intercept is what?
B.
Starting point. So if it's my starting point, that's what I have to start with when I graph. All right, so what is my y-intercept here?
1.
Negative 2. So where is negative 2 from the origin?
Down 2.
Down 2. Okay. Now, my slope is 4x. Well, remember, I need rise over run, right?
Yeah.
So how do I make that a fraction? If I have a whole number, how do you make it a fraction?
Put a 1 under it.
Put a 1 under it. It's 4 over 1. All right. So 4 is my what?
Slope.
No, well, yes. But rise over run is 4 my rise.
Wait.
Yeah.
4 and over 1?
So I go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and over 1. And that's it. There's my graph. Okay. I just have to connect the lines. Not too bad. Okay, so the next one, what's my y-intercept?
Plus 1.
Just 1. So if I'm at the origin, I just go up 1. Okay, I have a fraction for my slope, yes?
Yeah.
All right, so my rise is negative 3. My run is 2.
So be down 3 over 2.
Exactly. Down 3. 1, 2, 3 over 2. And then connect my lines.
Is this all we're doing today?
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Okay. Now, these next two are star questions. All right. So this says, which function, remember, I didn't even read this because it's kind of irrelevant here. I always go to the question first because I want to know what am I really looking for. Whenever you see it say which function, that means which equation. Do these equations in my answer choice look like y equals mx plus b? Yes. So which equation can be used to find y, the number of gallons of fuel is remaining in the tank of a semi-truck after it has been traveled? So I always start with my starting point. What is my starting point? My y-intercept, right? So my y-axis, where does it intercept this line? 240. Okay, my y-intercept, does it have the x attached to it? No. Okay, now, knowing that my y-intercept, 240, should not have an x by it, I can eliminate two answer choices. Which two?
F and H.
F and H. That is saying that that is my slope. That is not my slope. That is my y-intercept. Okay. So now I know that this is my y-intercept. Now I have to figure out which one is the correct slope. I want you to look at it and tell me what you think. Which one is my correct slope?
I think.
Middle.
Oh, wait. Man, I don't know anymore.
Well, they're both negative, right?
Yeah.
Which means it's going down. Is my slope going down?
Yeah.
Okay. So I know I'm going to go down 1, technically.
I think it might be J.
Yeah.
Why do you think it might be J?
Because it's closest to it.
It's closest to the intersection.
It doesn't actually meet it, but
I should. Okay, so let's see. I went down 1 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is where it met it. I'm not done. However, did it count by ones?
No.
What did it count by? How much did it go down here? 30. I went down 30. How much did it go over? This is from 0. How much did it go over?
10.
It went over 300. It went from the 0 over 300. Okay, so I went down 30 over 300. Can that be reduced though?
Yes, that'd be 1/10.
It'd be 1/10. So negative 1/10. It is
Are you
J.
sure, Rainy?
So do you see how you have to be very careful? If it was counting by ones, would negative 1/6 have been my answer?
Yes.
Yes. But I have to make sure that I know what it's counting by. Okay. I just asked this a minute ago. What does proportional mean?
It goes to 0.
It goes through the origin, which is 0, 0. So there is only one picture here that shows a proportional relationship between X and Y. What was it, Trey?